Hi everyone, Marco Di Stefano here, and welcome to this new video of the virtual orchestration series. Today we are going to see in depth what's behind my latest composition, which is based on a portrait and which is called Cuando Fui Combatiente. The composition, as usual, you can find it here on my website, marcodistefano.art, or you can find it on my YouTube channel, of course. And the composition is based on a picture, this one, which has been done by a friend of mine, Vincenzo Vitale. You find the link to his portfolio website on the description, which is a picture made in La Palmas, so in Cuba, back in 2015. The composition is based on the idea that this is a man with a very melancholic side. So he has probably today a normal life, but he has probably something in his past which he will never forget. And now let's go to the composition and let's see how I built that. So I wanted to give the idea of, let's say, a normal life by using a very simple melody. This melody is given to the piano, so you can listen to it here. Sorry. That's it. As you can see, so I'm using a sustain for all the time. So the sustain is always there. And so close to the piano, there is also a felt piano which is playing and is slowly entering and taking more the scene. So you can see here. The felt piano is this one. It's totally panned on the left, and you see the panning is moving it more to the center, and it moves to the center while the volume also gets higher. Also, on top of that, there is this instrument, Charango, which is playing. You can listen to it. It's giving the tempo. It is. And then the three together. Also for the felt piano, I'm keeping the sustain all time pressed, and this gives this huge resonance that you have between the piano and the felt piano, and it creates really like a kind of huge space where the resonance is never ending. Behind this piano, so there are strings which are creating some textures. So what I've used here, now let's listen to just all of them. So again, I'm using the chamber evolution. And you can see As you can see, all the strings are panned a bit to the right, and this is because if you look at this man, it's like he's looking on the right. And what I wanted to do is that all on the right there are all these kind of strings and textures, and then on the left you have some more instruments that you hear. Also, concerning the strings, there is these. I'm using a Spitfire Albion 5 as a strings also. Let's hear this alone. So let's see what I'm using as articulation. Col legno tratto. And so then I also have these waves from chamber evolutions again. And this is, if we listen now to everything together, I will still keep all the samples out of it. Okay, here there is something interesting which happens. Actually, this first part is about the present, so it looks like some very normal moment, very normal life, and then it all is in the tone of C, Do, and I introduce a huge dissonance here because, as you can hear, for example, everything is in C. At a certain moment you have on the bass playing a C sharp. Voila, look at this. Let's hear the solo. So this C sharp creates this dissonance, which in my intention is about something which comes back from the memory. Okay, so that then actually you will see the tone will completely move all to C sharp. And now to start to introduce a bit the past, I have some more bass instruments in that specific case. So you have a brass long here first, and look at them, they are playing exactly C sharp. And you see they are going up and down. On top of that you also have waves bass, which are also playing C sharp. Voilà, but this is more a kind of C sharp chord, while still the charango is still playing a C. And all the melody is actually playing in C. Another things I want you to listen to is at this moment, okay, so you also have some Spitfire orchestral swarm, which comes. These are in the normal C tone. And most important again for the basses, so there is a section with the London Contemporary Orchestra, the basses and celli, which are playing here again a C sharp. So let's listen all the C sharp stuff actually. This is mainly panned to the left, so it's like the past comes from here, and is all these bass instruments, while the present so is coming more from here, and then all these things that are panned to the left will move more to the center. Okay, let's listen maybe to this part for the last time all together, when actually there is the C sharp coming into the song. Listen the difference between the right and the left channel. On the right, the high strings in C. On the left, the low strings in C sharp. And here there is a huge change, because all the tone and completely the mood of the song changes into C sharp, and it's like a moment in which the memories from the past take the lead on his brain, and now he's completely thinking about the past. And so the first things to listen to is the felt piano here. It's very important because it's carrying on the harmony. So listen to it. Moves from C to C sharp. Okay, and then on top of it, you have still the piano, which is playing, but now the piano is not anymore prominent like it was before, but it's like some kind of thoughts. Look at it. It's very vague and some sort of impressionism. Okay, so here the piano is very fragmented, but it has a very important role because it is leading what then it will become the main melody. So just listen at the first 3 notes of the piano. Da-da-dun. This one here, okay? That looks like a kind of memory that from the past. At the beginning you hear it very slowly, very softly, but then this same sentence you will see will become a melodic line that will build stronger and stronger. At this moment, actually, what is important is that you have a trumpet. It's a very nice sound here. So if you were asking what I've been using, this is from the Spitfire Audio Labs, and it's called I think Trumpet Fields. Where it is? Yes, this one. Voila, this one, Trumpet Fields. In this one, I'm using this articulation slowly bending, which is actually bending always a bit alpha tone up. And I'm using this in the melody. So this, you listen to it together with the piano. So you see it's bending up, the early, and up. Just to finish this part here, so maybe let's play it all together. So because you also have the waves of always chamber evolutions playing here. You have these two Eclipse and Brahms, these are synths. And here you have the strings which comes into the song. So let's listen to all of them together. Voilà. So what I'm using here, the Symphonic, Spitfire Symphonic strings. And the articulation is the spiccato. As you can see here, I also have diminuendo in time. And during this moment of the strings, actually we have the melody which was here introduced by the piano. This one here, which is developed by some horns and brass. In that specific case, I'm using the horns from the Bernard Herrmann Composer Toolkit, and the brass from Spitfire Symphonic Brass, tenore, trombone at 2. So let's listen to this, the two together. And then actually, in order to have a crescendo, and in the end I'm also adding another layer of Hans Zimmer strings. I'm using here the 60 violins legato, so which comes here. And then actually the only things to add is that there is a contrabassoon which is playing here to give a bit more some bass. This is simply played, you see this is playing a C, so totally against the fact that now we are in C sharp, and is a bit remembering a bit of the initial part, and then introducing the fact that at a certain moment we will go back again to C. Also, I'm using two VST libraries here, in that specific case Brahms and Eclipse, and what they are doing is simply adding some bass. This is Eclipse, this is Brahms. And then after this, there is again the composition comes back to the initial idea. Now let's listen all to the development of this second part. Just forgot to mention that I'm also using these effects from Spitfire, from Albion 4. And then these sounds of brass high at the end. All the two are from Albion 4. And then, so let's listen to this ending here, and the end of the crescendo. And you can see that after this there is a synth which is playing. Actually, this is a sine signal. Listen to it. Which is I wanted to give like this is the typical sound that, for example, you might hear after a loud sound, like some sort of explosion. So I wanted to give this the fact that something big just happened, and then you still have on your ears, he has on his ears the sound that remains after. And then this introduces completely again exactly the same as the beginning. And it ends again, so we are in C, but you see it will end again in C sharp. Voilà, because I wanted again to give the idea, okay, so it's just a remember, it's just some rememberings that you have, but they are still, and they are always there. Yes, you know, your past never forgets you. And so, on top of that, I added these several sounds, mainly samples, which some comes from public domain, and some I actually both license on Audio Jungle, because I wanted to give a bit more the idea of a kind of documentary. The first one is this one at the beginning, and is about a lady which is playing a song, which I don't know which song it is. By the way, it's part of public domain on PartV. Voila, and you can see which is it is merged with the song, so there is some automation that automates the volume and automatically fades out. The second sample I've used here is this one here. Is again another recording of people which are playing, which are singing a song, and it comes here in the where it starts the crescendo. So this is the let's hear in solo. And I actually use this part, which seems some kind of the main theme of the song, to enter together with the strings. So it makes an incredible effect to listen to it. And so then it fades out, and then later what I wanted is to create some kind of memories about warriors and about being a fighter. So I ended up buying these two samples from Audio Jungle. One of them is simply actually an army which is walking. And the second one is about people which are demonstrating in a very crowded way. And so listen how this has been merged in the composition. The last sample I added is this one of kids singing. Actually, I believe this is the Cuban national song. Listen to it. The song is called Bayanese, and this is actually happens at the end of the song, where there is again this dissonance on C sharp. And again, it creates a bit of contrast, because you move from a very nice melody in C, you hear these C sharp notes, and then you hear these kids which are playing very happily. So the idea is like actually to create this contrast about being happy in the present, but maybe having something back in the past which always come back. Okay, that's it for the composition. Maybe just now I want to show you about the time. So there is not a linear time in the composition, but as you can see here, in order to make it as much realistic as possible, I have been tapping the time like a kind of director of orchestra, and then I have merged the time which I was tapping into the composition. Here the time is linear because I really wanted it to be linear. Then there is the decrescendo, and then there is again tapped time. Concerning the resources, I'm running all this with 17 GB of RAM. I'm using my templates with Vienna Ensemble Pro, where you see that I have all my instruments, but as you can see, just a few of them are really loaded. So the one in blue here, 1 and 2, a bit more for the strings, and this. Then concerning the different instruments, every instrument, so for each of them I made a selection on the microphones that I wanted to use. So you can see which, okay, sometimes these are not included because I'm not using any of the articulation from this block here, but I'm just using this articulation here. So only these microphones are set. And all this, it takes no more than 70 gigabyte of RAM. And then the last things I want to show you is about the mix. So for the mixer, as you might have seen in my other composition, so this is huge. There are a lot of things loaded, but I'm not using all of them. So I'm having some Neutron 2 to have some EQing on the different instruments. So for example, let's open one of them, for example the felt piano. Well, you can see I'm doing very little things and only using the equalizer always. So if we take another one, maybe the Sally from here. Voila, in this case I'm really cutting out the bass because it was really too much, and so on. At the end, all these channels are grouped and they end up into this group here. So woodwinds, brass, strings, mix and all. But then before there is also some groups like for example this is all where is it? So this is the group I'm using for the Spitfire symphonic strings, and here you have the reverb. The reverb channel is here, and I'm using Reverence LA Studio. I like it very much, this setup. And then, okay, of course I have also for all the samples I'm using I'm having some EQing and some reverb. And then on the last one I have my Ozone 8, where I am doing little things also. I'm still reducing a bit the bass and boosting the high. I'm having some dynamics here because I wanted to compress a bit more the low band than the high band, but you see it's really a bit. I'm boosting off 4 decibel everything and then pushing to the maximizer. So at the end I have a -1 objective. That's it. So I hope that you have seen something interesting in this video. Don't hesitate to leave me your comments if you want to ask me something specific to this composition. And of course, subscribe to my channel and go and listen to this composition if you have not done it yet. Thank you very much and see you in the next one.